Right, today it's the country system. Now this is number 13 in the video series. And we're going to go up to about 20, I think there's about 26 subjects. Now if you go back to video number 2, the second part of the introduction, that gives you a whole list in the text of all the videos. I think there's probably 26 odd. So anyway, we've got to number 13. Now we're getting to the exciting stuff. The next one is going to be really exciting. That's religion. So country system. Okay. Now I've got nothing to show you here. I was going to get a globe. I just say, right, here's the world. It's a clock. Basically, what's happened on our world is we've been split up. Obviously, we've been hit by an asteroid containing water at some stage, so there's a lot of seas and things, and that split the world up into sections. As we know, Africa, America and all this. So after the last ice age, when we started re-emerging from Africa or wherever, obviously we were all together, but everyone went in different directions. And in order to keep what you've got, you'd have to fight off people from another village. So therefore, we got groups of people forming. One of them might have found oil. Later on, some have found oil and they've kept that, and they've done the borders for their countries. So what's happened is the whole world is now split into countries, and we're told that was rubbish, that clock thing. We were told to how great is your country, etc. And you must defend it at all costs. And even though in England I don't think we've got anything to defend really, but obviously the Middle East has got its oil, and they're all fighting. There's a lot of fighting over that, and countries still want to control that. So rather than go in and fight, they try and get control. So it's a big mess basically. And we've been told basically, oh, you were born in England, you must be a patriot, you're English and all this. And where in fact you didn't have any choice. What happened was, you're a baby the same as everybody else, and then you're fed rubbish until so often that you believe it. Whereas every other planet in the systems that I looked at, none of them have a country system. Every human is allowed anywhere in their world. The only difference is if they came from different places and looked different, on the mobile device you have the choice to only get matching suitors from your genetic pool, or you needn't. You see what I mean? So if you want to stay in a gene pool that was all English, for instance, you don't look at the country system, you look at the DNA. Because, as you know, this ancestry DNA thing and all these DNA companies springing up, if you put your DNA in, you suddenly find out you're not from the UK at all. Even though you've been waving the flag and going like this, Churchill and all that for ages, you find that you're actually from quite a few different places. Because in England, 75,000 years ago, there wasn't anybody living. It was all forest. Nobody here. So that's what I'm saying. So it's a bit shallow, all this patriotic business. I've just been watching a video. Trump, will make America great again. Whereas what you should be doing is making the world great. Not just America, And unfortunately, when they do try to help, and when they stop helping, people go mad and say, oh, America's foreign policy and all this, you know. Okay, it might be bad, might be good, I don't know. But if the country system wasn't there, you wouldn't have any of that. You just get in your transport and you go. And I've got a transport section coming up whereby you can get across the world at 2,000 miles an hour without leaving the ground. So, you know, that's coming up soon. So what you'll be allowed to do, you'll be a citizen of the globe, you'll be in a certain genetic pool like other planets. If you want to keep, for instance, Eskimos, you know, if they want to keep being Eskimos, as soon as they marry into another race, that's okay, because that's your choice. But then you go out of the gene pool on the system, basically, or your child will. You won't. So that's how they do it. Anyway, the actual proudness comes from you being part of this particular gene pool, or particular ancestry, not I came from England. Because if you think about it, all the Americans, there's no such thing as an American. They're from all over the country. When the passport system, you know, that if you're born somewhere, you get a passport from that country. Whereas you're not actually from, you know, your ancestry line isn't from there at all. And, you know, all these people who see another country coming up, this is another problem with the country system. One does a lot better than the others. And what we're seeing is, these people are looking, oh, I want what they've got. So we've already built everything. It's like you doing up your house, and you're sitting there admiring your work, and suddenly somebody comes through the door and sits down and says, I'm living here now. You know, what the hell would you do? So they're all jumping, you know, admirably, making their life better. But with a no country system, everyone's equal. And that's, you know, other planets, we're very slow here, but other planets have found that out and have done it immediately. You came from England, and your ancestry, which you're very proud of, all came through England, but you can go anywhere. You know, at the moment, white people are being killed off by other religions and other countries, and you know, there's no-go areas now. There's even no-go areas in England, just because we split everybody up. You know, that's not how they do it. You know, I've studied the Second World War and the First World War, and been a volunteer at various wartime places. I've had military vehicles, I've had military guns, I've had all the uniforms, I've done reenactment, I've bought and sold the stuff, you know. So, and but what changed it for me was, I was in for the Normandy 50th, and everyone was bright and bushy-eyed and said, and the veterans are giving their stories to us and all that. I went to an event for the 75th anniversary, and one old veteran said to me, look at the way the country's going. We would have been, the little ships for Dunkirk, he said, would have been better picking up the German army and bringing them across here and getting it over with. That's what he said. And now that changed me to think, what is going on? But yeah, but you know, I don't know. Anyway, country system, world split up into countries. You get some down here, and there's 100 and however many, and some up here somewhere, and even they're having trouble. You know, they're having trouble because these people want what they've got. So you get immigration. Be it illegal or whatever. Now, so many illegal immigrants now that they're not bothering to do anything about it. But these people are admirable because they've seen something better. The only trouble is, all the thinkers, the thinking, oh, I need a better life, have now left this country and gone to that one. So all the thinkers, so they've lost all their best people. We're only taking on extra qualified, some countries only take on extra qualified people. So all the doctors and nurses and things are all leaving here and going to there. I think somebody said there was something like 55,000 Philippine nurses have actually left the Philippines. So they've been trained over there. The only advantage is for the Philippines, they're sending money back. But that money will no longer be spent in the country, in the rich country. So that's another, distribution of wealth becomes automatic. So there's no point having a country system. Okay, the area is still called England, and if you're born there and your genetic pool's from that particular area, like mine's East Anglia, with bits of Norway, Sweden, that was from my great-granddad, or granddad I think it was, Charles Peterson, who incidentally, I think he got wounded in the First World War quite a few times and went back, just kept going back. And he survived, luckily, but otherwise I wouldn't be here. But yeah, and my dad was Navy throughout the war, and if he didn't get through that, I wouldn't be here. Everything's very, very touch and go. But yeah, if you're a real thinker up here, you're a citizen of the world. You can't get off the globe, but you can go anywhere on it. Citizen of the world, and you came from the UK, or you came from Hong Kong, or wherever. Your ancestry is whatever your DNA says. Okay, so, there's no such thing as a pure English person. There's no such thing. We're all from, if you go back even further, a lot of us originated from Scandinavia because the Vikings invaded. Those whole swathes of England were under Viking control. And when they couldn't get in at in the east coast, they sailed round the top and attacked Wales and Ireland. So, so we've got Scandinavian in this too. So there's no, you can't say, just because you've got a bit of paper, passport, that says England on it, doesn't mean you're English. Might do on paper, for authorities' reasons, but, unfortunately, it's all rubbish. So, that's what they do anyway. They don't do that. You came from somewhere, your genetic pool was from here, that's your proudness, if you want to be proud about something. But you're allowed anywhere on the earth, which is obviously a big advantage to all of us. And all the time and money wasted, border security, border control, passports, visas, embassies, all that is just a huge waste of resources, which we will soon no longer have. So that's the real reason. So now let's look at some little diagrams here. Now up here we've got on the screen, you probably can't see it, it's pretty blurred for me because I've had to blow it up from a cartoon. It's a cliff face, White Cliffs of Dover if you like. There's a ladder that can get both men to the top of the cliff, but in this picture they're fighting over it. One's pulling it one way, one's pulling it the other. It's a resource. So they do what we've done in it with the country system. They've cut the ladder in half and each man's got a half. Now that's incredibly fair, isn't it? But now both of them can't get to the top of the cliff. So what I'm saying is the country system holds us back, holds everyone back. The only problem we'll have, if you suddenly took down, we've got into such a situation now, if you suddenly took down every single border, everyone will go everywhere. Now, somebody said, that's a bit like globalisation, you know. But why have hundreds of factories making inferior products when you could lump all your information together, make one good product, and have the transport system good enough to take it anywhere in the world? And the air tube system, that's the one they use on most planets, which I'll go into. And we calculated, I mean, obviously you couldn't calculate the exact speed because different planet, different system, no relation to our system. So you can't say, that's so-and-so. I mean, you could probably work it out, but you'd have to be there and measure it, which none of us will ever do. So, yeah, so you could get, you know, I was reckoning 2,000 miles an hour in an air tube. So in other words, you could get from here to Greece in 1 hour. You could get it quicker on international routes, I suppose. The country that the planet I saw it on, was hot on one side and cold on the other, and went round its sun with this side facing all the time. So that was uninhabitable. It's huge, mind. It was probably 100 times bigger than the Earth. And this side was ice. So they lived on a band round the middle. So the sun was always on the horizon coming from one direction. And they had they'd set 7 or 8 tubes running right round that belt underground. Everything that was high speed went in that tube to get anywhere, basically. And then you've got all the other tubes, but I'll go into that when I get to transport. I'll show you how it works. I'll show you the big junctions and how they work. And that's it, basically. So that's the country system. So they don't have country system. None of all the people who have kept their country system ending up wiping each other out. Now, Hitler tried to conquer the world, and if he had done so, obviously we would have all been in some huge, just say it had worked, and a lot of people had died. Now, that person, from that point, the history of what Hitler did, even if he's successful and the whole world was German, he's got to live with that. So the best way is to get everybody to agree. Then you don't lose any people. In fact, people will start to improve. And what will happen is, you know, hospitals and industry and that will be built in towns. Well, mind you, I'm going to show you here later on, I'm not sure when, it's not the next one, how they operate in various, with the centres of excellence system, basically, centres of excellence. You know, you might have a centre of excellence for kettles, and they produce the very best kettle ever possible, the Rolls Royce of all kettles, but with different shapes and different colours. And they match the colours to exactly to your kitchen. In one I've seen, well, I don't know whether it's a kettle or not, but certainly all the things they were using were all perfectly colour matched. Now, I've never managed to do that in my kitchen. You know, I had a red and white kitchen once. It was every other shade of red. It doesn't work. But anyway, that's one possible thing. You know, you think competition. Now, competition produces the best item for the best price. With money gone, money is going. It'll either go all electronic here, but none of these countries use money. There's no such thing. You just literally say, oh, I need a new kettle on my device, and one will turn up, and then the people who delivered it, the people who made it, they all get closer to going to their centre of excellence, be it a hobby or whatever. That's the centre of excellence system, but that's coming up too. So the country system, you know, it's very, very restricting, not only for humans going wherever they like, but you know, some countries can hold others to ransom just with oil, for instance. Look at Saudi. I mean, Saudi is has got a very, very sort of strict Sharia law thing where they can behead people and stone women and be very nasty to women, and yet we pander to them because they've got our oil we want. You know, how ridiculous is that? But yeah, it is, no planet with a country system has ever survived. They've always, in the end, destroyed each other. Just say you've got a planet here, it's half and half. One man's got this side and another man's got that side. This chap's got a tree and this chap's got all the fruit. He can hold him to ransom because he says, my tree is producing all the O2. Now, if you don't give me some of your fruit to eat, I will cut that down. He's cutting his, basically, he's cutting his own head off too, or stopping his own oxygen. There's so many different scenarios you could work out like this. He's got a cooker, right, and he's got oil. Now he's got to give him oil, and he's got to give him fruit in payment. Whereas, if this wasn't here, they'd both be sharing the oil and both be sharing the fruit. One day, he's going to run out of oil, and he's going to starve to death. He's going to run out of fruit. They're both going to starve to death. You know, there's so many different scenarios. If we were all on one earth, you know, lots of people here, and everything. There's the oil, there's the trees, there's the fruit, the food. We all just take it when we want it. No money involved. You can only eat a certain amount. And that's another, the regulation system for that comes on the mobile devices later on. I'll tell you about food. Oil stays in the ground because obviously we don't want that anymore because we've got solar panels. So now what's going to happen now is all the countries who were selling us oil are now going to go back to how poor they were before. So, you know, the country system doesn't work. Full stop. Look at Argentina. You know, we all watched the Falklands War. We were all patriotic. Argentina is 600 miles away from the island. They've never wanted it before. They just suddenly wanted it. Some say it was the president's way of trying to get the people to vote for him in the next election. Anyway, France is only 22 miles from England. England's an island. What's going to happen? Is France going to suddenly claim England? You know, we've got all these problems are coming. America's borders, you know, they put up the amount of money it's costing to try and control immigration, you know, could save Africa 3 times. If you put all the border security and everything all around the country, then let's see how much time I've got, because I've got to go into something. 23, right, 7 minutes. In order to protect these countries, say for instance, there you are. Right, you're all like this. He's got oil, he's got fruit, and he's got something, say, he builds cookers, and this chap's got something else. So the world is now split into 4 countries. Now, if he starts running out of fruit, or he won't give him any oil, he's going to have to invade. He's going to have to protect himself. Therefore you need armies. Now just work out how much has been spent on armies. How rich could each one of us be if we hadn't spent the money on armies? That's a result of the country system. If you haven't got a country, it's just an area to look after, and anyone can go there, you don't have to protect it. Okay, the odd policeman might have to have a gun, but if you think about it, no country system, everyone comes up the same, no money, you know, crime is going to be reduced tremendously. So yeah, so they're all going to, you know, they're all going to have armies. and all the money that they get from their various resources is going to have to pay for arms and to train people and all sorts, you know. So you have to have protection as well. The country system, you know, has really put us behind, basically. And it should have gone a long time ago. You know, we should all be allowed anywhere, but obviously the development of a planet does involve villages looking after. I mean, say for instance, one nurtures all its vegetable crops, and this one knows that it's got good vegetables and that they're all eating rubbish. They're going to want to go there and get that. Then this lot pick up sticks and they rush them and clobber them over the head to stop them coming and pinching their food, you know. But in this country system, here we go again, another globe. Don't know whether you can see that bottom one. Yeah, yes you can. Country system again. I'll just take that lens off, get a closer look. Can you see that now? Better? Let's put that down there like that. Right, yeah, this country, that light's in the way. I'll go around there like that bit. It's in the way. Anyway, country system. I've even forgot what I was going to say. What was I talking about? Can't remember. Anyway, probably irrelevant. But yeah, basically, you need an army. That army, I mean, in America, how many trillion a year do they spend trying to be the greatest? What's the point? You know, okay, if a lot of people come to America, which they've done already, because it's a better life, and the other thing is, you get, say for instance, you've got good country, G, the bad country. Everyone's going to want to go here. So what this country's got to do is quickly build factories and places for them to stay. Nice houses, transfer. And if you didn't have the country system, you wouldn't have to do that. So, thing to do, be a citizen of the world. Get your DNA done. Be proud of where you came from and your ancestry. Now, if you did, for instance, build a village and accommodate people and employ people and things like that, then you can be proud of your bit of England. But until you do something like that, you can't say, oh, I'm proud of England. Usually we're proud of England because we won a war and killed lots of people. Is that proud? Is that proudness? I don't know. You know, we're Second World War, victory, lots of people in the street, not thinking about how many people died. Just, oh, we won. And, you know, if the country system hadn't have been there, Germany wouldn't have come across invading everything. You know, there's a lot. Anyway, I better go. I'm just going to get to half an hour. Thanks a lot.